What's going on, everyone? This is Luke from South Beach Sports, and in today's video I'm going to be ranking the top 5 cheap free agents the Miami Heat could sign this offseason. All of these free agents that I'll be ranking today should be able to be signed for $5 or $6 million per year or less, and with all of these guys, their past contracts were $5 million per year or less, so I'm kind of using their past contracts to now project their future contracts. Now, before I get into the rest of the video, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and like and subscribe if you enjoy the video and if you enjoy content like this. Also, go ahead and comment down below a cheap free agent that you would like to see the Heat sign this offseason. Also, go ahead and check out our latest video on our second channel, Swish Talks. It's about some of these narratives in the NBA media and how these media companies should fix these issues that they're having. So go ahead and check that out. If that interests you, then I will link down the video in the description below. So once you're done with this video, go ahead and check that video out. So in today's video, I'm going to rank the top 5 cheap free agents the Miami Heat could sign this offseason. All the players that I'll be listing are win now guys, and I think they're players that could contribute good minutes come playoff time. I first want to start off with an honorable mention, which is Stanley Johnson. Johnson averaged 4.4 points, 2.5 rebounds in 17 minutes per game with the Toronto Raptors last season, and shot a pretty disappointing 38% from the field and 33% from 3. Now, I really remember Johnson from his days in Arizona. He was a terrific college player, and he was drafted in the 2015 draft with Devin Booker, Justice Winslow. You guys know that draft very well as Heat fans. So the reason why I would like a Stanley Johnson signing is because I think he could be an interesting developmental piece for them. He's a very, very tough defender as is. He's 6'6", 240, so he can guard positions 1 through 4, and he can even handle his own on 5s and switches. Offensively, Johnson has always been an issue, I would say. He averaged around 8 points per game in his rookie season, and he really plateaued from there. He did show promises, especially at the end of the last year with the Raptors. He put up 35 one game, which was a career high, and he looked very impressive doing it. And I really think that he does have a skill set on offense that could be developed. He has a pretty good shot. He's a good finisher. So if the Heat could sign Johnson, who's only 25 years old, he could develop into a very nice two-way player for them in the future. Now, the reason why I have him as an honorable mention and not in my top 5 is because, as is, I don't see Johnson contributing playoff minutes to a team right now, but he is definitely someone that could develop into a player like that in the future. So at the number 5 slot, I have James Ennis, who played with the Heat from 2014 to 2015. He spent last year with the Orlando Magic, averaging 8.4 points, 4 rebounds, and shot 50% from the field to go along with a 43% clip from 3. Ennis has always been a tough defender, but it's really promising how much he's developed his 3 over the course of his career. Coming into the NBA in his first season with the Heat, he really wasn't known as a 3-point shooter, but since then, I mean, you guys can see he shot 43% from 3 last year, which is a very, very good percent. At the number 4 slot, I have Wesley Matthews, who played last year with the Los Angeles Lakers, in which he averaged 4.8 points and 1.6 rebounds, and he did shoot a pretty disappointing 35% from the field to go along with a 34% clip from 3. A lot of you guys probably remember Matthews most from that 2020 playoff series with the Heat when he was a member of the Bucks, in which he played some great defense on Jimmy Butler. He's a competitor, he's a leader, he doesn't back down, and I think that's someone that the Heat need not only on the court but off the court in the locker room. Now, I understand that Matthews did struggle a lot last year in the Lakers. I mean, he shot a career worst 35% from 3, but a change of scenery could help. I think on a minimum contract, which is what I think the Heat would probably give him, he could still offer very solid rotational minutes as a spot-up shooter and as a very tenacious defender. Now, at the number 3 slot, I have Wayne Ellington, who is obviously a former player with the Heat. He spent 2016 to 2018 as a phenomenal shooter with Miami. He actually broke the Heat's record for most threes made in a season. This record was obviously broken by Duncan Robinson not once but twice. But I still think Wellington does offer a lot when it comes to shooting, and I still think he's probably a top 15, a top 20 shooter in the whole entire NBA. Ellington averaged 9.6 points per game to go along with a 42% clip from 3 last season with the Detroit Pistons, and if Ellington does sign with the Heat on a low money deal, you could expect the Heat to use Ellington in similar ways that they used Duncan Robinson. Like Robinson, Ellington can be used in a lot of screens and dribble handoffs, so that's another positive about possibly signing Wayne Ellington. Now at the number 2 slot, I have Terrence Craig, and out of all of these guys, I think Craig could be the guy that signs for a little bit more than that $5 to $6 million per year range that I talked about earlier. Craig is right now putting in key rotational minutes for the Phoenix Suns, who are obviously in the NBA Finals, and Craig, I think, would offer the Heat a lot on both the offensive end and, of course, the defensive end. While he's known as a defensive specialist, he's also a pretty solid shooter. He shot 37% from 3 this past season to go along with a 5.5 points per game average, and he also averaged 4 rebounds a game, so he is a very solid defender. Now, Craig has spent time with both the Nuggets and the Suns, so he has a ton of playoff experience, and that's something that the Heat need. Now at the number 1 spot, I have Markieff Morris, who spent last year with the Los Angeles Lakers, in which he averaged 6.7 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game. He shot okay from the field. He didn't shoot great. He shot 41% from the field to go along with a kind of disappointing 31% from 3. Now, I have Markieff Morris at the number 1 spot for 2 reasons. Number 1, I think he's the most likely out of all these players next to Terrence Craig that could actually start for the Heat. I think he would probably start at the power forward position next to Bam, so he would fit in nicely there. And secondly, he is an enforcer. He's a tough and aggressive player. He's known as a dirty player by some around the league, but the Heat kind of need that. There was a story that I found on Twitter about Jay Crowder, who was obviously the enforcer and the tenacious player on that 2020 championship run. And what I heard was that Jay Crowder would always push Jimmy Butler in practice. He would challenge him to one-on-ones, and he would just increase the competition level in practice. And I don't think that's something that the Heat had this past season. So adding someone like Morris would definitely increase the competition, not only in practice, it would increase the tenaciousness and the toughness, I think, in not only on the court, but in the locker room. So let's talk about on the court. What would Markieff Morris bring to the Heat? So on the defensive end, he's a very versatile defender. He can guard multiple positions, and like I said, he's a tough player. He wouldn't back down from any competitor, so that's good. On the offensive end, he would be able to space the floor. He would fit that Jay Crowder, Trevor Ariza stretch 4 role, and he didn't shoot that well this past season with the Los Angeles Lakers. Like I said, he only shot 31% from 3, but like I said earlier with Wesley Matthews, a change of scenery could help him. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Like I said earlier, go ahead and like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and if you enjoy content like this. Also, go ahead and comment down below which cheap free agent you would like to see the Heat sign this offseason. With that being said, I'll catch you later. Peace.